Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to my Belgian Grand Prix review. It is so good to have F1 back. It really is. It wasn't the most spectacular of races. Some really good talking points though, and a lot of tension up top. But frankly, it's just great to have the sport back. We will start, as we always do in these reviews, with a look at the final classification. It was Lewis Hamilton that took victory then ahead of Sebastian Vettel. We'll come on to those two in a minute. A very tense battle between those two up top. Daniel Ricciardo, there you go again, somehow ends up on the podium in the Red Bull. Kimi Raikkonen in fourth. We'll talk about him in just a moment. Valtteri Bottas in fifth place. He'll be very disappointed with that. Someone who's not very disappointed is Nico Hülkenberg, sixth place. Great result for him today and a good haul of points for Renault. Grosjean again for Haas, seventh place, and another fantastic comeback from Felipe Massa. He'll be happy with that after where he started. Esteban Ocon, yeah, ninth. Should have been so much more. Again, we'll come on to him in just a moment. Carlos Sainz once again picking up a point for Toro Rosso, and Lance Stroll just missing out. It was like 9 seconds off it, but in 11th place. Daniel Kvyat, he wins the second page. He finished 12th, 49.9 seconds off the lead, but 12th place. Not bad for Daniel Kvyat. Stayed out of trouble, which is good for him. Jolyon Palmer, oh, poor guy. He had a pretty amazing weekend really for him up until Q3, basically, and it just never really got going for him after that. I think it was a proper kick in the gut for him. He finished 13th, Van Dorn 14th, Magnussen 15th, Ericsson 16th, and Sergio Perez, he brings up the back, of course, and we will come on to him in just a moment. I think you can guess where we're going with that one. Fernando Alonso, yes, a very frustrating day for him. He has DNF'd again. Max Verstappen, yet another DNF. Pascal Wehrlein, he retired early on. Driver of the day went to Lewis Hamilton, obviously, because he won the race. And fastest lap to Sebastian Vettel on a 1:46.577, and that is a new race lap record as well. So on paper, it looked like a pretty boring affair up top for Hamilton versus Vettel, didn't it? They finished just over 2 seconds apart. It was a lot closer than that during the race and quite tense. Vettel got a good run, down the Kemmel straight and very nearly got him on the first lap. But that Ferrari seems to almost bottom out, if you like, once it starts to harvest at the end of the straight. Harvest a lot earlier than the Mercedes, so that's really hurt him today. And I think it's probably cost Vettel the win, especially with the way he went with the strategy later on in the race. But Hamilton managed to fend him off, and basically, I think he had him in his pocket, just controlled the race from where he was. It all looked as though it was all done and Hamilton could cruise, and Vettel was cruising to that 1 and 2 there, but it just didn't really finish like that because a safety car came out, something we'll come on to in just a moment, and basically it closed the field up. They both pitted. Hamilton whacked the soft tyre on. Vettel went for the ultra soft. On paper and in theory, Vettel should have won the Grand Prix. He had the fastest tyre on. The cars are so evenly matched. It's things like that that are going to make the difference, but for some reason, he just couldn't get it done. Again, that straight line speed really kicked him and stopped him being able to get that move done. He had a go on the first lap after safety car, but after that, frankly, Hamilton just did not look challenged and he just cruised to victory. Rightly driver of the day. I can't think, maybe Massa deserved it or maybe Nico Hülkenberg, but Hamilton absolutely was fantastic out front. Like I say, faultless all weekend, apart from when the safety car came out and it looked like everything wasn't going his way. He decided to throw his toys out his pram and was having a bit of a sulk. I have to be honest, and I'm going to go for it. If Hamilton couldn't see the debris that's on track, he should not be allowed in any car and needs to head to his local optician chain very quickly. Once again, just another example of throwing the toys out the pram when it's not going his way. But other than that, a faultless weekend and a fantastic drive from Lewis. Vettel, he's a bit Rosberg and Prost in the sense that he's quite happy to finish second to Hamilton if it means that he's not going to lose extra points, like with an accident for sticking up the inside or something like that. He's a bit of a professor. We'll go with that one. And likes to think long term in the championship. So I think he'll take second place today. It's not a Ferrari circuit, so I think we can all agree that if Hamilton isn't first, Vettel will be, and if Vettel isn't first, Hamilton will be. It's one of those seasons. We are in for a cracker. Just on the safety car as well, Valtteri Bottas totally mugged off by Kimi Raikkonen and Daniel Ricciardo at the restart. That is why Ricciardo got a fantastic third place and Kimi Raikkonen ended up in fourth despite a 10-second stop-go penalty, and that is the first moment I'm going to have a bit of a rant on, I guess we're going to go with. It's rare that I'm going to say this. I 100% agree with the stewards. Kimi Raikkonen's defence, he got a 10-second stop-go penalty for not slowing down for double waved yellow flags for Max Verstappen's retired Red Bull. Raikkonen's defence, the car was out the way. I don't care. It does not matter where the car is. The double yellow flags are double yellow flags. It is marshals on track, slow down and be prepared to stop. Tough shit, quite frankly. Safety first over everything when it comes to that situation. We have seen in the past so many marshals have been hit by Formula One cars that haven't slowed down or have been caught up in something and have been injured and quite frankly killed. It cannot be something that is just turn up at the scene at 200 miles an hour, see the yellow flags, look at it, assess the situation and go, that car's out of the way, nothing to worry about. I'll crack on with my race if you don't mind. I don't care where that car was. I don't care how safe he thinks it was. Double waved yellows, double waved yellows, end of. However, it does now lead us nicely into another incident, which yet again shows more steward inconsistency, something we are all absolutely sick of at the minute. The two Force India boys, two stupid stupid boys have been involved in 2 incidents yet again. The first lap one, I don't blame either driver for that. I don't think we can. There were 3 cars wide. Perez has got really nowhere to go. Ocon's got nowhere to go. Contact, which resulted in quite a hefty whack to the wall. How there was no damage to that Force India, I have no idea. It was quite a wallop. It really was. But no one to blame there for that one. However, the second one, well, 100% Perez's fault. Simple as that. They're side by side through La Source. They come through, heading up towards Eau Rouge, and Perez just squeezes, despite the fact that Ocon's there and he knows Ocon's there, squeezes him and he loses part of his front wing. Perez gets a puncture and we end up with debris everywhere, which brings out the safety car. 100% Perez's fault. The team have come out and they've basically said, it was on Sky Sports, they've basically said that because of this, these drivers will not be allowed to race anymore. We've warned them. We've given them the benefit of the doubt. They can't do it. That's it now. You put the team first and that is the end of that. You are not allowed to race anymore. Are they going to listen? No. Let's be honest. These guys are driving around a lot of testosterone and whatnot pumping, so there's no way they'll listen, but the team have made it clear now that team comes first. The stewards noted it, quote unquote, noted it, and decided no further action. Okay, so Kimi Raikkonen gets a 10-second stop-go penalty, rightly so again, for putting marshals in danger for not slowing down, okay, under double wave yellows. That's fine. He's got that penalty. No further action, though, for Perez and Ocon, despite the fact that Perez hits Ocon and debris goes flying towards the crowd and marshals. Where the hell is the consistency in that? The stewards, the FIA, there is just none in the sport at the moment, and this is why so many people are turning away from F1, because there is no consistency in steward decisions. There is no consistency in the FIA. That should have 100% been a penalty for Perez, even if they'd just given him a 5-second penalty, whatever, just a penalty of some sort should have been applied for that, and they didn't. And that just, again, it's so infuriating. It may have to have its own video, this, because it really is so stupid. F1 fans are some of the most devoted and the most knowledgeable. There's no doubt about it. Every F1 fan has got such a knowledge of the sport. It's as if the stewards don't think, or as if the stewards think we won't notice their inconsistency. Frank, it's just an utter joke. It needs to be sorted. And at the end of the day, for me, if it's a 10-second stop-go penalty for Kimi, it should at least be a 5-second penalty for Perez. If not, a 10-second stop-go, because that debris has put just as many marshals and just as many fans at risk as Kimi's incident did. So there you go. But we'll move on and talk about something that's probably even more frustrating in some ways, and that's Fernando Alonso. I think he is done with McLaren. His opening lap was absolutely fantastic, and yet again another reminder of what a talent he is. What a talent he is, and he's probably one of, if not the best drivers on the grid. He gets himself right up there. He overtakes a Renault on pace, on merit, no DRS, nothing. A McLaren Honda overtook a Renault Works car, and that was wow. And everyone was sort of like, hang on a minute, maybe Honda have got something here. Then we get into the race, and for me, this is another example of why DRS is terrible for Formula One. As soon as DRS is enabled, he just goes backwards and backwards, and he just went ranting on the radio, embarrassing, jokes, swearing, telling the team he didn't want to talk to anybody. He's had enough. He did retire in the end with a problem, although frankly, I'm skeptical. I've got a feeling he was either told to come in or he decided to retire the car. He did say just before retirement, are we going to get any rain? They said no. He then retires the car. So for me, I do wonder if he's just given up for today. I love Fernando. I love his ranting on the radio. I love that he's so passionate, but I do think he needs to lay off the team a little bit. This isn't McLaren's fault. This is Honda's fault. McLaren have got a very good chassis and a very good car. It's the engine that is the problem. Coming out with just an embarrassing or going on a GP2 engine rant, that's fine. Do that once. We've all heard it. Don't keep going on about it. I think that kind of almost confirms he's going. He did get asked by, I think it was Natalie Pinkham on Sky F1, whether he was going to leave at the end of the season if McLaren didn't get a different engine. His response was basically, I love the team. The team's great. The team's going to do a fantastic job. But we'll see how things evolve over the next couple of weeks. I think that was basically, yeah, they need to change the engine or I'm off. A lot of talk about Williams. I hate to be one of those, but I did call that a few weeks ago in my Fernando Alonso what does he do next video. I said Williams would be a good option if he couldn't find anywhere else because they've got the Mercedes engine, paddy low, etc, etc. So it would be a good call. I think it's more likely to be IndyCar, to be honest, next season. And that'll be it for Fernando Alonso in Formula 1, which will be devastating. I would rather see him at Williams, and fingers crossed that's where he'll go. He can't do another season in McLaren Honda, can he? I think they are his options. McLaren Honda, Williams, or IndyCar. And there you go. Another driver's future that has been called into question again is poor Max Verstappen. His 6th retirement in 12 races, and it's another reliability issue. It essentially just lost power and ended up pulling over on the Kemmel Straight, retiring, and that was it. He was so frustrated. He was on the radio. He said, you know, he couldn't believe it. No words. It's a joke. He was so fed up. It's beyond a joke, frankly, Max. It really is. It's absolutely horrendous to watch. It's a guy who should be winning races and challenging for titles now. Not in 2 years' time. Christian Horner going, you know, give it a year or two. We'll be challenging. Too late. It needs to be now. He is one of those drivers that should be up there fighting. Could he go to Mercedes next year? I still think they'll stick with Bottas. I cannot see that happening. And I don't think Hamilton would want Verstappen as teammate. Want, maybe the wrong word. I think he'd prefer to have a Bottas there who is up there with him in many ways and at some races, but will always be a little bit slower. So he's still got that pull in the team. If you've got Verstappen as your teammate, you're never going to have somebody. For example, Vettel has Raikkonen as his number 2. It looks as though Bottas will be Hamilton's number 2 for the rest of the season. Can you see Max Verstappen playing number 2 to anybody? I can't. So I don't think that'll happen, to be honest. And that kind of rules everything out. Maybe Renault, but then Renault are the ones that are giving him the problems with the engine. So that's unlikely. And McLaren, absolutely no, that's never going to happen. So I think he'll be at Red Bull next year. He'll calm down and I'm sure he'll digest what's happened and go over it in his head. But just yet more frustration. And I just feel so sorry for him. And all those Dutch fans as well that turned up. Kudos to them, by the way, for sticking around. A lot of places when their favourite driver retires, they all disappear and that's that. They stuck around. They watched the race to the end and they were kind of really treated to a pretty decent second half. I say second half, maybe last third of the race. It wasn't the greatest race I've ever seen, but like I said at the start, it's just great to have F1 back. And of course, we haven't got to wait long for the next race. It's Monza next weekend. That should cheer Alonso up. Yet another circuit with a nice long DRS straight. I hate DRS. I'd love it if they got rid of it. I really would. It's just so artificial and it's just not needed. And it ruins people's weekends like Fernando Alonso. But then at the same time, you could flip that around and say, well, then Honda need to get their act together and sort that one out, which I think we all agree with. Honda, looks like they might be leaving the sport if McLaren don't decide to stick with them. But we shall see what happens there. We'll not get into another Alonso, McLaren and Honda video. Before I end though, guys, just a quick word as well on Mick Schumacher today driving the Benetton B194 around Spa in a helmet, which actually really hit me quite hard in the old heart, if you like, in my feelings. A helmet that was half him and half Michael Schumacher, his dad, of course. Such a sight. Fantastic. It's a beautiful car as well. Great to see that on track and a real reminder of the talent that Michael Schumacher has and actually the talent Mick Schumacher's got. Keep an eye on him in Euro F3 because he's not a great one-lap specialist, but he's fantastic at racing and fantastic at making his way through the field. Brilliant driver, and it was just absolutely great to see that car on the track again and very emotional. And as ever, when talking about Michael Schumacher, I have to say, keep fighting, Michael. We are all rooting for you. But that is it, though, guys. I will inevitably be back later in the week because the news seems to be doing the rounds in F1 now that it's back and the driver market is being tied up quite nicely. F1 2017 will continue on the channel as well, probably from tomorrow. Hoping to make a video in the morning, get that up by tomorrow evening. It will be career mode. That is what you guys have chosen, so I will carry on with that. But as ever, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.